Hello. In this video, we're going to look at the general form and the vertex form of a parabola. So the vertex form of a quadratic function is the following. We have f of x is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. And the vertex is actually going to be hk. It is the coordinate hk. It is the reason why I said in a previous video that I'm going to call the vertex hk. Now, this is important. Notice that the general form ax squared plus bx plus c has the vertex from that same video we saw was negative b over 2a, comma, f of negative b over 2a. And what that means that for the vertex formula, to find the vertex, h is the negative b over 2a. So this coordinate here is negative b over 2a. This is the most important equation for you to memorize here. H equals negative b over 2a. Now the k value is f of negative b over 2a, and you can memorize that if you want to, but basically we just take this value and plug it in for the x's to get this k value. Now, if a formula is in the vertex form, then we can just look at the equation itself and say, what is the vertex? The vertex is this value and this value. Now notice that it is the opposite of this value. In other words, if it says minus 2 in parentheses here, like x minus 2 all squared, we don't say negative 2 comma, we mean just positive 2. It's always the opposite of what you see from the inside. It's just like what we have for horizontal shifts. So we always do the opposite if it's inside with the x. Excellent. Now, let's look at some steps to graphing a quadratic function. Now, I want you to always think of these steps as guidelines. And the reason I say that is you don't have to do these all in this order, but all of these really do need to kind of be done. Okay, so looking at this, we want to determine whether it opens up or down. Now, that depends upon the a value. Now, the great thing about this is that if you notice for the vertex formula, we have an a there, and we have an a there for the general formula. They're both the same exact a value. Now, here's the thing. In order to get this vertex form, what we would do is we would take this general form of a quadratic, and we would use completing the square and put it back into this form. I'm not going to show you how to do that in this video. If you would like to see that, let me know, and I have another video made for another class that is a little bit more in depth than this class is. So if you would like to see how we get from this form to this form, let me know, and I'd be happy to show you that. And it'll show you that, in fact, yes, h is just this negative b over 2a. Now, I believe the k value, if we were to just use the general form, I think it's something like 4ac minus b squared all over 4a, question mark. I think it's something like that. Don't quote me on that. I never memorized that part of the formula, and the reason I never memorized that part of the formula, frankly, it's not all that necessary, and I've got enough to memorize as it is, and I'm sure you do too. So let's ignore that. All right. So that was the first step. The second step is to find the vertex. Generally speaking, these two can be interchanged, but it is a good idea to do these two first. Okay, so once you find the vertex, and once you determine whether it opens up or down, that's going to help you a lot, because whenever you plot your vertex, let's say the vertex is here and it opens down, you know that you're going to have an x-intercept. But if it is plotted here and it opens up, notice that it is not going to cross the x-axis, which means that there will not be an x-intercept. That means that by completing these two first, this step 5 you may not need to do. And it's very nice to skip that step if you don't need it. For example, something like this, where it crosses, where it does not cross, there's no need to do that fifth step. You can just say there is no x-intercept and be done with it. Let's look at step 3 now. Determine the equation of the axis of symmetry. Remember, it's always in the form of x equals some number, and that number is the h value, which is that negative b over 2a value. So just keep that in mind. Now for the next two, finding the x and y intercept. We could have combined this into just a single step, saying find the intercepts, but we do want to kind of remind you how to do this. So to find the y-intercept, set the x value equal to 0 and solve for y. To find the x-intercept, set the y equal to 0 and solve for x. In other words, it's exactly the same no matter what the function is. Set the y value equal to 0, set the x value equal to 0 and solve for y, aka simplify, and you will get the y value, and that will be the y-intercept. To find the x-intercept, set the y equal to 0, solve for x, and that will give you your x-intercepts. And the great thing about this is that you need to remember these will be in coordinate form for me, but I do believe my math lab only requires those to be just the number itself whenever you solve. It's a little bit frustrating for me, and I'm sure it is for you as well. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. Alrighty, number 6. We want to plot the points and graph. Now, specifically, for my math lab, we always want to start with the vertex. And I'll show you a little bit later what it means to graph in my math lab. Number 7, state the domain and range using interval notation. Now, interval notation, well, okay, the domain, real quick, negative infinity to infinity will look like that. The range is what's going to be changed. The range is variable. It changes. I don't really, probably best not use the word variable. Let's just say the range changes. From function to function. Alrighty, well, I think this video is already long enough. I'm going to go ahead and end it here, and in the next video, we're going to go ahead and start using all of these steps. Alright, I'll go ahead and see you there, and I will see you in the next video. Have fun.